Well, as we roll into week 10 of the college football season, we have 4 ranked-on-ranked games this weekend. When the week started, we only had 3, but the first CFP rankings came out. Now that's 4. Top of the list, the clash between number 1, number 3 in the rankings. But when the week started, Georgia was number 1, Tennessee was number 2. That's the AP poll, but that has switched. Things don't change for Alabama, though. They remain number 6 in both rankings, but LSU 5 places better in the CFP rankings than in the AFP poll, as those two get set to clash at 7 Eastern on Saturday. All right, so let's get into some of these games with wagering expert Jon Berger. But before we talk picks, John, we have to talk about atmosphere. And that brings us to Home Field, presented by Verbo. Now, close to 93,000 fans expected at Sanford Stadium in Athens. John, what kind of atmosphere are you expecting with that crowd?
I think they'll be ready to roll, man. I think they're tired of hearing about Tennessee, and let's face it. I mean, Georgia really hasn't played that tough of a schedule. I mean, this is a team got tested by Missouri. Now Tennessee's rolling up in here, and they're talking about how Tennessee's kind of the talk of the town. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I mean, Athens is one of those places, and there's a handful of those stadiums across the U.S. That everybody, if you're a fan of this game, that's one of the stadiums you should go see a matchup in. I think it's going to be an awesome scene. I can't wait to watch this game. I think this thing is going to go back and forth for 4 quarters. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, coming into the segment, we were talking about how exciting this weekend is, one of the more exciting weekends of the college football season. Georgia.
This is one of those weekends that after your morning show, Jeremy,
yeah.
just get your suit off, get your tie off, and I'll call you at 2 a.m. when I'm done. So a solid 12 to 14 hours of just watching game. That's one of these weekends.
John, I wish that my producers felt the same way that you did, but they like me to do the work. Okay,
I know.
Georgia may be number 3 in the CFP rankings, but they are 8-point favorites at home to Hendon Hooker and the Vols. You can get this number down to 7.5, depending on where you look. The total at 67 points. When you look at these numbers, John, where's the winning value for you?
I think this is all 3 of these games, or all 4 of these games for that matter. The spread, I'm scratching my head a little bit on pretty much all of them. I think this situation, I'm going to anchor back to how I felt about both teams all season. I like Tennessee, and I started drinking that Kool-Aid, Jeremy. You know this, about 4 weeks ago. I think Hendon Hooker at the quarterback position is a guy you can count on, a guy you can trust. When you roll up into those tough situations on the road and everything looks awful, this is a guy that's not going to make a stupid mistake. He's not going to force the ball. He's mobile. He's athletic. He's everything you want in a quarterback in terms of handling pressure. Guy's got 2,300 yards through the air this shallow into the season, thrown 1 pick the entire season. Offensively, this is a 2-back offense with Jalen Hylett, and their play calling is some of the top in the country in terms of keeping a defense off balance. This is an offense that starts early. They're one of the best offenses at getting out of the gate. I like that. You look at them defensively, they held Kentucky to 98 yards through the air, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions. I believe in this team. I just think the number's too big. I think Tennessee in this situation has all the attributes to go in there and win the football game. They got to play a clean game. I like Georgia in terms of a program and where they're going, the velocity that they play with, but they haven't played anybody in terms of the strength of schedule. I mean, they struggled to get out of Missouri. So you look at these teams, you add all this up. I get it. Georgia probably should be favored at home. I just think the number's too big. I'm going to take Tennessee. I'm going to take the points. I also think a lot of points are going to be scored, so I'm also going to take the over.
John, is that what the orange tie is for? You're tipping your hand ahead of time?
I'll never tell you, man.
It's going to be on
Jeremy.
It's going to be on CBS. It's going to be a great game coming up 3:30 Eastern time on Saturday. All right, number 6 Alabama go to Death Valley as 13.5-point favorites against number 10 LSU. Brian Kelly and Nick Saban clashing for the 3rd time, but first time for Kelly as the head coach at LSU. The playoff committee likes LSU more than the AP voters. Do you like them in this spot, John?
I'm going to go back to guiding principles, Jeremy. Alabama's a different team on the road, and I think everybody needs to start recognizing that. I'm going to take LSU in the points. It's a lot of points, Jeremy, and I'm going to take the over. Do I think Bama wins the game? Yeah, I do. But let's think back to what we've talked about all season. You look at Bama last year, beats Florida by 2, half-empty stadium. They lose to Texas A&M on the road. 4 overtimes against Auburn. Roll up into this season. Beat Texas by 1 in a game they probably should have lost. Beat Texas A&M by 4. Lose to Tennessee. This is a different team on the road. LSU's not an easy place to go win a football game. If you get down early in that game, it gets worse. I do think Alabama's got all the attributes to win the game. I just think the number's too big. When you look at LSU at the quarterback position, Daniels, I think, if he plays a clean game, if the offensive and defensive lines can at least work to a neutral position or a stalemate, I think this is a situation where you can make some money on taking LSU into points. That's what I'm doing. I also think late in the game, I think the third and fourth quarter, both offenses get on track. They're going to be forced to. I think there's going to be a stalemate at the line of scrimmage. Bunch of points are going to get scored. Numbers too big for me. Take LSU in the points, but take the over.
Alabama's won 2 in a row in the series. 10 of the last 11 meetings. John's going the other way. What about 24 Texas as road favorites over 13 Kansas State, John? Texas lost to Oklahoma State in their last outing 2 weeks ago. Last week, the Wildcats throttled those same Cowboys 48-0. But they are underdogs here? I mean, John, something seems fishy.
Yeah, well, I missed the K-State, Oklahoma State pick by a whopping 48 points, Jeremy. So I'm going to tell you what I know about K-State. And I told you this. I went out, I wanted to look at K-State in person. And I went out and I watched them from the sidelines at TCU. This is a big team. This is a physical team. This is a team, when you watch them interact with their coaches, they're very disciplined. Adrian Martinez at the quarterback position. The reason I did what I did last week and got blown up in my bed, I didn't think K-State had a chance with Martinez mixed up at the quarterback position. And we saw what they did at Oklahoma State. They destroyed them. They blew them out. I look at this Texas team. I look at K-State at home. I don't really understand this number. What I'm going to do in this situation is I'm going to take the under in this game. I'm going to stay away from that spread because it doesn't make any sense to me. What I do know is K-State, regardless of who's playing quarterback, with that speed, with that physicality, is going to show up and play. So I think both defenses are going to show up. I like what Texas is able to do offensively. And you know, Steve Sarkisian, in my opinion, is one of the best play designers in the country, and he's one of the best coordinators and play callers in the country. I think this is one of the games you mark on your calendar on Saturday and watch it. I don't get the spread. It's too close. It doesn't make any sense to me based on what I know with both teams and what I've seen close up with K-State. I just think take the under because I think both defenses are going to have to show up. I think they will. Take the under. You'll make some money on this.
And you saw on the board there, I mean, Texas won 5 in a row, 6 of the last 7. One last game before we get your under-the-radar pick. 21 versus 22 as Wake Forest and NC State meet in Raleigh. Wolfpack, 4-point underdogs at home. Another home dog, John.
Yeah, another pick that better be right. I'm going to take NC State. Look, I don't know. Is the game with Wake Forest over last week? Because I think they had like 292 turnovers, and I'm kidding. They had like 8 turnovers last week. It was self-inflicted. But look, wait, that's not going to happen again. But I think going in to play NC State, you got to understand NC State's won 15 straight home games. Check the box. This is the defense, number 1 scoring defense in the conference. Check the box. Defensively, they create turnovers. They can get quarterbacks. They can get to the quarterback. Check the box. I get MJ Morris. I get that they're starting the third quarterback, meaning NC State of the season. But I actually think this offense is more diverse with Morris in terms of his ability to run and throw than it's ever been. In addition to that, this is a kid that showed up, overcame a 21-3 deficit, throws 3 touchdown passes against Va Tech and wins the game. So I just think at home, I think this is too many points. I think with them at home, their ability to defend their home field, which they have a track record of. I like Morris. I like his physicality, his ability to throw the football down the field. I'm just going to take NC State at home. I just think that's too many points. I think they get it done.
NC State, as you mentioned, a program record there, looking at 15. They get one more. They're going to tie the record that dates all the way back to 1975. All right, John, finish this segment off with your under-the-radar pick for the Saturday slate.
You know how I feel about service academies, man. I love service academies for various reasons. One of them is which you can make a lot of money on service academies, especially in bowl season. Put a pin in that. We'll talk about that in December because we're going to make a lot of money right there. Army playing Air Force in Dallas. This is a team, this is a football game where they're going to line up right at each other. There's no mystery about what's coming on either side of the ball. They're going to run the football right at each other. Each team may throw the football a whapping 5 times or less in this football game. So this is going to be a war up front at the point of attack. Triple option coming from both sides. Here's the bottom line, Jeremy. Guiding principle, take the under. This will hit at the under. If Army runs for over 400 yards, they're 3-0, okay? If they run for less than 400 yards, they're 0-4. So that's the situation. That's just too many yards to get against Air Force that sees this offense every day in practice. Both teams, this is going to be a lot of pageantry. I love both service academies, the kids, the coaches, what they stand for. In this situation, though, take the under. This is going to be a war up front. I don't think they get anywhere close to that number. Take the under. You'll make some money and enjoy the ball game.
He is wagering expert Jon Berger giving us his ranked on ranked picks and under the radar pick for the Saturday college football slate. Great to see you as always, Jon. Jon's going to have more picks for us on the college football pregame show on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on HQ. Air Force versus Army, one of our games this weekend. It features the top 2 rushing teams in the nation. They each average nearly 50 rush yards per game more than the next closest teams in the nation. The game underway 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then it is the big one, our SEC game of the week. Number 1 Tennessee at number 3 Georgia. The 52nd meeting of which Georgia has won 26. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jenny Dell bringing you that game starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also stream both games on Paramount Plus.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.